Good evening. You are tuned in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Malaysia and the United Arab Emirates have officially signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement aimed at unlocking new opportunities in trade and investment cooperation. The signing, held during Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, was witnessed by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The deal covers key areas such as trade in goods and services, investment facilitation, digital trade and support for micro, small and medium enterprises. It also marks Malaysia's first free trade agreement with a Gulf Cooperation Council nation. Notably, it introduces Malaysia's first ever Islamic economy chapter in a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, paving the way for collaboration in halal certification, Islamic finance and the digital economy. The UAE is Malaysia's second largest trading partner in West Asia, with bilateral trade surpassing 39 billion ringgit last year. Anwar will next head to the UK for a 5-day working visit following his time in Abu Dhabi. Starting tomorrow, Malaysians will see improvements to the Sumbangan Asas Rahmah or SARA aid thanks to a record high allocation of 13 billion ringgit in budget 2025, up from 10 billion ringgit last year. Eligible households under the e-Kasih system will receive 2,100 ringgit in aid for 2025 compared to 1,200 ringgit in 2024. The Finance Ministry in a statement said 100 ringgit cash aid will be credited to recipients' MyCard from January to March, with the amount to be increased to 200 ringgit from April onwards. On top of that, 5.4 million Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah or STR recipients will also benefit, including 700,000 current SARA recipients and 4.7 million not listed in the e-Kasih database. For the household category, the additional SARA aid amounts to 100 ringgit a month, while senior citizens without partners will receive additional SARA aid of 50 ringgit a month. Malaysia needs to urgently implement comprehensive political financing laws to curb corruption and boost transparency. Law and Institutional Reform Minister Datuk Seri Azalina Othman Said warns that the lack of specific regulations on political funding leaves significant gaps and increases the risk of corruption. Speaking at the Political Financing International Conference, Azalina highlighted critical gaps in Malaysia's system, noting that the Election Offences Act 1954 regulates individual candidates but not political parties, which aren't required to disclose their funding sources. This creates significant risks, with parties relying on donations, asset ownership and business ventures, avenues ripe for abuse.
So basically what the government is doing is pushing it to the select committee to evaluate, because they are represented by political parties members who would be the main inheritor of such law. And especially their biggest challenge would be the silent donors that donate to most or similar political parties. As you know how donors work, everyone's their friend. So maybe just donors are a bit nervous about full disclosure. I think these are things that the challenges that YB William has been hearing out from most political parties.
Azalina added that many developed nations enforce strict political funding laws, including caps on donor contributions and encouraging smaller public-driven donations to reduce reliance on powerful donors, models she believes Malaysia should emulate. Malaysia is considering nuclear energy as a potential power source, according to Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof. Fadilah, who is also the Energy Transition and Water Transformation Minister, says his ministry has commissioned studies through the My Power Corporation and the Malaysian Nuclear Agency.
The studies would focus on advanced nuclear technologies, safety measures, security, regulatory frameworks and stakeholder management. Fadilah said this was part of Malaysia's commitment to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. More than 20 countries committed to tripling their nuclear power generation at COP28 due to its reputation as one of the cleanest energy sources. Fadila added that the government was also focusing on energy efficiency, such as battery storage systems and hydro-based technologies.
The US is shaking up the global AI landscape with tough new export restrictions on advanced chips and AI technology. Now, the announcement made by the Joe Biden administration on Monday evening. So, what's behind this major move and what could be the implications for Malaysia's AI ambitions? So, let's bring in Farhana Sheikh right now to break it down for us. So, turning to you, Farhana, talk to us about this new AI chip restriction. What is this all about?
Right. Thank you, Cynthia. So the Biden administration just announced sweeping new rules to control access to advanced AI chips and technology. So the goal is to keep it out of the hands of countries and actors that could use it against US interests. So the rules actually impose strict limits on the computing power of chips that can be exported. So in other words, they cap how much advanced AI work that can be done in certain countries using US-made technology. So the system actually divides countries into tiers. So some will face tougher restrictions,
right,
while a select group of close allies will be exempt.
All right, so talk to us a bit further then. Which countries will feel the heat the most from these restrictions?
Right, so here's the surprising part. It's not just traditional adversaries like Russia, China, or even Iran who already face strict US controls. This time, much of the world will be affected. So only 18 close allies, including the UK, Australia, and Japan, are exempt, and will continue to enjoy unlimited access. And Malaysia is actually not among these exempt countries.
Well, as expected. But I think what we also want to find out is it is mentioned that it's AI chips. But what chips are we talking about? Is it an overall export ban on AI chips, or will there be specific ones?
So it's not all. The focus is on advanced GPUs or graphics processing units. So they are commonly used in gaming PCs, but are also essential for training advanced AI models because they can process a lot of data at the same time. So a good example would be OpenAI's ChatGPT. So they use like thousands of GPUs to operate. So not all GPUs are subject to these restrictions as well. Gaming chips and smaller orders like purchases by universities or medical institutions that usually falls below a certain threshold won't be subjected to these export limits.
Okay, so I think we should also bring this closer to home. This definitely affects a lot of countries, just 18 countries which are exempted by this new rule. Bringing it closer to home, should Malaysia be worried about it?
I think not immediately. So it's something that Malaysia should definitely be on the lookout for. But while Malaysia isn't on the restricted list, it's also not a part of the exempt countries or the 18 close allies. So it's definitely something that we should keep an eye on because this means companies here using US chips for large-scale AI projects will face tougher controls. Okay. So so far, for importing more than 50,000 GPUs would require a US government license. However, like I said, smaller orders and most everyday use shouldn't be impacted.
Okay.
But the bigger concern actually lies in global competition.
Right.
So major AI tech company like NVIDIA has warned that these rules could slow AI progress in industries both in the US and abroad. Meanwhile, another major tech company, Oracle, has also argued that this move could unintentionally boost China's share of the global AI and GPU market, a risk that could actually backfire.
And that's because when the chips from the US are more limited, countries might turn to other big AI players. All right. Well, thank you so much, Farhana. Of course, it remains to be seen whether the Trump administration will go through with this AI chip restriction. Of course, this is a Biden's rule, so we'll find out on post-January 20th after Trump's inauguration. Thank you so much, Farhana, for breaking that down for us. All right, we'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Kerap menggaruk kulit kepala disebabkan kelomomor, masalahnya lebih mendalam. Gunalah Head & Shoulders menembusi 5 lapisan untuk membasmi kelomomor dan kegatalan. Bebas kelomomor sehingga 100%. Head & Shoulders diuji secara dermatologi.
Inovator! Kini tiba di kemuncaknya. Pemilihan idea produk inovasi terbaik semakin mencabar.
Para peserta baharu yang bakal menjadi usahawan inovatif.
Anda akan menjadi saksi. Which idea will win over the jury and the consumers?
Inovaton, merealisasikan impian anda.
Siapakah yang layak menjadi juara?
Inovaton akhir, Sabtu 9 malam di Astro dan Astro Go.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene baharu.
Welcome back. Talks have resumed in Doha on a ceasefire deal in Gaza and the release of Israeli hostages. According to key mediator Qatar, they are closing to coming to an agreement.
For the first time since October 7th last year, delegations from both Israel and Hamas are reportedly holding indirect talks in the same building. The deal could see action being taken in stages, with hostages released on the first day and Israel withdrawing its troops after that. More than 46,500 people have been killed from Israel's offensive in Gaza. The United Nations says nearly all of Gaza's 2.3 million population is now displaced, with 9 in 10 of those living in tents at shelters. Officials have warned of dire shortages of medicine, food and fuel across the strip, as many continue to fall ill during the winter season.
South Korea's Constitutional Court has adjourned the opening session of President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial after he failed to attend. Yoon, who also faces allegations of insurrection, has remained in his fortified residence in Seoul, resisting an arrest warrant issued by authorities. Yoon's legal team has repeatedly claimed that the warrant is invalid, citing procedural flaws. The next court session for the impeachment trial is set for Thursday. If Yoon refuses to attend again, proceedings will continue without him. The Constitutional Court has 180 days to decide whether to remove Yoon from office or reinstate his powers. South Korea's political crisis follows Yoon's brief declaration of martial law last month, which plunged the nation into political turmoil. Authorities are working to execute an arrest warrant for insurrection charges peacefully after a standoff with Yoon's security forces earlier this month. Donald Trump would have been convicted of crimes in his attempt to hold on to power after losing the 2020 elections. However, U.S. Special Counsel Jack Smith says he was blocked from bringing the case to trial by the president-elect's November election victory.
Smith had been appointed as special counsel after the insurrection on the U.S. Capitol to investigate Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. In a report released by the Justice Department, it was concluded that the evidence would have been sufficient to convict Trump at trial, but his imminent return to the presidency made that impossible. Trump has been impeached for his role in spurring the January 6 riots and was indicted on 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges and depicted the cases as politically motivated attempts to damage his campaign. Trump is set to return to the presidency next Monday.
That wraps up AWANI tonight. Do check out our web portal, keeping you informed on the critical events shaping our world, all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching. Good night.